Avengers, assemble. Welcome back to Sanders Presents. I'm Greg, and if you're enjoying the content we're producing, please consider sponsoring Sanders Presents by assembling on our Patreon and becoming an Avenger today. We have two tiers available, a $3 tier and a $5 tier. At that $5 tier, you become an Avenger Premium member, and as a founding Avenger, your name is added along with these other lovely people to our Avenger Memorial Hall of Fame. To all of my Avengers, thank you so much for sponsoring our content and for making this channel possible. We really do appreciate it. So, let's get right into it. I'm very giddy right now. I'm very excited. So, Fanstoys, and for a while, I didn't think this would actually come to pass. For a little bit, I was like, I don't know if they're going to make this. I don't know if this will actually come to, to be in development to make it. But Fanstoys is a third-party creator of Transformer masterpiece scale figures, pretty much. So they create figures that are usually within a range of 12 inches or so. Let's just use that as a basis. But they make figures that are really high quality Transformer figures, and they're all about in that scale of, like I said, 12 inches. And a while ago, it's been a while now, they announced FT-49, which was going to be their Fortress Maximus. And again, it kind of felt like Fanstoys was just going, look at what we could do. But it didn't really seem like they were going to do it. But there's been more murmurs. There really have been growing whispers of Fanstoys is actually going to try to do this. And Mac, I tell you, this is it. This is a centerpiece. This Fortress Maximus would be 50 inches tall. 50, I'm saying 50 inches tall. That's just like just a little over 4 feet. You know what I'm saying? That's just 4 feet, and but that's incredible. That is an incredible, beautiful, massive. Look at this thing. This thing is beautiful. Even what they have here, this is beautiful. If this really is it, if this ends up being it, you never need another Fortress Maximus, which again, if you're not a Transformer fan, doesn't mean anything. But as a trans fan, I take this kind of stuff to heart, and I've always loved my Titans. And I have to be honest, this is unbelievably tempting. Just to have this as, bear with me, as a display piece, because I love Fortress Maximus. I love the character, but I would put this sucker in base mode, and I would display him with Transformers on him, because now again, hey, if you're a masterpiece collector and if you collect third party, that's awesome. That's great. I did for a little bit. I kind of got out of it. And that's just because I have really fallen in love with non-transforming Transformers. Again, the Transformer is the brand. I'm not super interested. I don't have to have them actually convert. I'm interested in the characters. And what 3-0 is doing has just, it's stolen my heart. It just has. And, the MDLX line, I think, is going to be one of the greatest things ever made for any toy line ever. I think their Bumblebee is absolutely incredible. Again, in the MDLX line, that Bumblebee is incredible. And Optimus Prime, I truly believe he's going to be incredible. And if you want to use it as a basis, and this is why I'm thinking of how I would display it, because again, I'm going to gush here. I'm taking this time to gush. So, because I'm trying to think about the logistics of this and about, display. Relatively, I know that I know that you see my toy room very often. This isn't going to be, this isn't my permanent final toy room, and actually this could be changing very, very soon. But just in terms of thinking, what does a future setup look like with a 50-inch Fortress Maximus? Man, I could just think about Fortress Maximus in his base mode, surrounded by the 3-0 MDLX line, because of how well, in my opinion, that would scale. The Bumblebee is just under 5 inches tall, because again, they're kind of at that action figure height scale, not the 12-inch scale, or like the Masterpiece kind of scale line is. But so Bumblebee is just under 5 inches. Optimus Prime is estimated to be, a little over 7 inches. And then with this 50-inch base, oh, Mac, That's going to be beautiful. And 3.0's also already announced that Megatron and Hot Rod are coming to the MDLX line. So it's like, I mean, we could have a really awesome Autobot cast. And obviously, Megatron wouldn't, unless Optimus and Megatron are fighting on Fortress Maximus, which, I might do. That actually sounds really cool. But I'm thinking about display potential for this, and it is really tempting. Now, this was announced originally, Fortress Maximus, this 50-inch Fortress Maximus was announced before the crisis in the world. And that's changed everything. Prices have changed. Everything's changed. A 50-inch, 4-foot-tall Fortress Maximus could, a price today, I don't know. I have not, it's impossible to say with any kind of certainty what this would be priced at, or if it would be split up into parts and be shipped or be sold like, hey, here's part one of it and it's the upper half chunk of the base and part two is this chunk of the base, or what have you, which could separate, in terms of shipping and the logistics of shipping and the logistics of how much is too much and what do you charge the fan base for this? What is the ultimate final price for both halves? Because they're already selling Cerebros. They're already selling the Headmaster, and he already transforms into Fortress Maximus's head, and he's 220. So he is 220. So that's part one, and then maybe the half the body is part two, and another half of the body is part three, or the rest of the body is just one big chunk. But could that survive in today's logistics of shipping crisis and inflation? And let's be honest, these prices aren't going to go down. Everybody says, hey, don't worry about raising the minimum wage. The prices are going to go down. The prices are not going to go down. They're not. We've reached it. It's here. It's here to stay. These prices aren't going anywhere. If you entertain yourself in terms of toys or video games, then you have to accept the fact that video games are about to be $70. And yeah, toys that you were paying $170 for are going for $220 now. It's here to stay. I don't see that shrinking. And if you in the future, if I am wrong, then hey, I'm happy to be wrong, especially on this. I would love to be wrong and see prices go back down, but I think we need to be realistic. If you're a collector, if you're in this market even a little bit, then yeah, the prices have risen. It's done. It's over. It's time to live with it. That's it. So if we look at Cerebros, which is the Headmaster, and he's 220, and maybe the upper half body is 400 and maybe the lower half body is 400, so 800 total. Like, what is a reasonable price for a 4-foot tall, transformer? Let's use Unicron as an example. Unicron, the HasLab project, was $570, and he was 27 inches tall. So, oh boy. I mean, come on, Mac. We got to be expecting more for the total. There's no way they pull off a 50-inch robot at the same price as Unicron, who is a 27-inch robot. I don't see that happening. I don't. I think 800 is very likely, which means hopefully they do it in parts, so it's 400, maybe a year apart, and get that time to save the money, get it all together. But realistically, I think we're inching closer and closer to 1,000 at this point. I mean, look at what Takara is charging for 12-inch bots. Optimus Prime was $350. Megatron, Beast War Megatron, was $350. Like, they're already that expensive, and those are small. This is a 4-foot bot that has to ship too. That's why I would be surprised if it all comes as one piece. The smart thing to do would be to put out half the body and then another half of the body a year later, price them each at $400. Bam, bam, you've got $800 total, but you've also got a massive, honestly, this is a definitive centerpiece. This is like having a Death Star playset. Like, imagine with your 3 3/4 figures, a 4-foot tall Death Star playset. This is that kind of centerpiece thing, in my opinion, especially Fortress Maximus, the base, Metroplex, those characters. And again, I don't want to get ahead of myself because that's a different video, but can you imagine if they tried to do the other Titans? they would need their own bedrooms back. So, okay. All right. Anyway, I wanted to be a little giddy. I just wanted to have some fun. I am really excited about this, though. I mean, this doesn't happen every day. This is going to be a rare, amazing piece if Fanstoys actually does it. This is not something that just drops and happens. If this really does happen within the next 2 years, if Fanstoys is actually able to get this off the ground, it is going to be historical. It's going to be historical, and you're either going to be a part of it. You're either going to say, you know what, I need to have this. This needs to be in the center of my room. This needs to be in the center of my Transformers collection. Or you're going to go, this is outrageous and ridiculous. I don't need this. Because that's it. That's it. But even if you don't need it, you still have to say, this is historical and outrageous, but I don't need it. But it is going to be historical. You can't get away from it. You can't. If they pull this off, if they do this, even in the state that the world is in, if they pull this off in the next 2 years, this is going to be incredible. And I couldn't help it. I had to gush a little bit. And it's something that I do. I want to follow because I want to know what comes of this. I really do. This is something that I'm going to be paying attention to as a fan, as a person, and I wanted to share my excitement and my giddiness with you because this really will be a historical moment if Fanstoys does pull this off. So, let me know what you think. What do you think the likelihood is of them pulling it off? And do you think the state of the world has anything to do with it, more or less, over, under? To my Avengers, thank you so much for supporting us. And if you are willing and able, please consider sponsoring us by becoming an Avenger today and assembling with us on our Patreon. To everyone, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. I do appreciate it. Please consider liking this video, sharing this content across social media, and subscribing to our lovely channel. We really do appreciate it. Above all else, and most importantly, stay safe, take care of others, and have a marvelous day. Bye, everyone.